Okay, I'm
Yes,
here
sir.
with Jordan. We're going to talk for about 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long we feel like talking, and we're going to have a great time. Before I begin, website's joresults.com. Little O, JO Results. Go there. Get your free ebook. Put your email in. You got it. It's the first wave. It's a new wave. It's the new shit. Here we are. Let's talk for a few minutes.
Yeah.
First, I have to say the colors that you have on are excellent because I wear those colors a lot. I love the colors with the black and the gold, the light yellow tint. It's just a great combination for if you're going out talking to people, if you're recording, if you're posting stuff. Great, great colors. So, first, I want to ask you, what got you into the dating niche and coaching?
Well, first off, appreciate the compliment, man. Couldn't agree more. Like black and tan is like all I fucking wear. Um, as far as getting me into the dating niche, man, I remember distinctly being like probably 15, maybe 16 years old, coming home after high school one day and just being so frustrated. I was like, I want to say like some girl that I'd talking to, or I found cute was like talking to some other guy, like one of the fucking popular kids in high school, and I was like, oh my God. And I literally typed in the exact phrase, how to get girls on YouTube. And I found a couple of channels and I started binging, I started going out, and then a couple years later, I ended up well, I had a decent amount of success for myself in the space, and then I ended up working for Michael Sartain and Rollo Tomasi for a bit, and now we're at the point of coaching on our own. How about you, man? What got you into this space?
I was around 14, 15 years old. I had the biggest crush on this girl in high school, and I thought she was just completely physically attractive and she's very intelligent. And I was like, this is the girl for me. But I couldn't express myself. I couldn't talk with her the way that I wanted to communicate. So instead, I drew a picture of her. I was like, oh, this is the girl of my dreams. I'm drawing a picture of her. I didn't know what to do. I'm this young, naive teenager. And the class bully goes up, grabs the paper,
Oh,
grabs it, and he's like, "What's this here?" Brings it to her, shows it to her, and she's like, "What is this?" And she sees it, and everybody's laughing at me, and it just everybody's completely laughing. I was just like totally embarrassed. And then what I did was I read the first book that I read was The Game, which there are pieces in that book. Not everything is timeless in that book, but there are a few sections in that book that are completely timeless. So I still incorporate what I do to this day when I'm talking with people with some aspects of that book. As far as Michael Sartain goes, guy is a G. That guy is great because he has done some phenomenal things. He lives in Vegas. I did a podcast with him last year, briefly
nice.
over, it was over Zoom. Like it was like 20, 30 minutes. We talked, and he was talking about I think we talked about his Air Force career briefly. We talked about some other things like his life. We were just vibing, hanging out talking, and I did some research on him beforehand, and he loves that. He's the type of guy, if you do some research beforehand and you talk to him, like that's what I watched. He said, how important that is. And I was saying all these accolades that he did, and he loved it. And he's like, oh, I want to talk for 3 hours. And I was like, yeah. And we did talk for quite a nice amount of time. But I had a great time talking with him. I did a podcast with Justin Mark too, and he's a promoter in Canada. He's pretty well known. He's like 500,000 followers on Instagram. And that guy, he won't even give you a second. Like if you're a guy that's not good at talking, he'll just run all over you. I like to whenever I'm speaking, I strive to have let the person speak and allow the person time to say what they want. And I strive to do the best that I can to listen so I can have an adequate response. Because I think that's important in communication is listening, understanding what the other person's saying and giving your full focus, especially if you're talking with a girl and you've been talking to her for maybe like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and you're all alone. It's an important skill set to learn is to be a great listener and how to respond instead of thinking, what am I going to say next? Think about what is she saying, and then you can respond accordingly. I always tell people. And the two best things that you can do a lot of times are I always say you can compliment, so you can reward for what she's doing, or you can relate. And those two things are just so great because makes people feel good if they're relatable or if the compliment makes sense. And a lot of times, some of the best compliments I've found are vague compliments, novelty compliments, or subtle compliments because you don't want to be doing the stuff that everybody else is doing. So you talked about Sartain and how you worked with him. And like I said, I have nothing but respect for that guy and what he does and his drive and his hustle. Now, what are some in the past few months, some things that have been some big aha moments for you in this realm that the listeners could listen to and go, wow, that's really like crazy. Anything that's a big aha for you lately.
Well, actually, I want to take it back real quick to what you were saying about listening, because I think that is probably the most underrated conversational skill. Because if you listen to most people when they have a conversation, they're literally talking at each other. It's like share, 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 and then no receiving, share, share, share. And it's just like they're almost having two totally different conversations
Yeah.
versus when you can give somebody, and I really do view it as a gift of making them feel actually heard, which can be things as simple as like, hey, repeating a specific word or two from what this girl has said, or building the conversation off of something that she said, asking an engaged question. Not just some random question that has nothing to do with the topic at hand, but something that allows her to then open up further. That is probably the single biggest thing that guys could do to get better at conversation with women. So I don't know if that's the aha moment that you were looking for, but like, dude, you nailed it on that one. If I had to think, as far as other aha moments, I mean, something that's really just stuck with me is the concept that it is okay to be nervous
Yeah.
and to still approach. It is okay to be nervous and still go on a date. You don't have to feel completely smooth, suave, you're 100% best in that moment. It's okay to be, you know what? Shit, this might not be the best approach of my life, but to still go out there and do it because all it takes is that one conversation to literally change your entire life. And so, hey, if you go up and you're a little bit nervous, women are generally pretty accepting of that. They actually know that, like, hey, we, as a lot of guys, that we struggle with that sometimes. So I don't know of any specific examples, at least from my clients or from my life, where like the nervousness itself has been the thing that has prevented the guy from getting the girl. But rejecting yourself, being too nervous to go get over the hump and say hello, that will absolutely lose you every time.
Yeah. Yeah. Full-heartedly agree. With the nervousness, it's an interesting thing because it can be at the beginning of an approach, like you're approaching a girl there, or it could be maybe you're in an interaction that's gone for several minutes, an hour even, and you're at this point like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh, I don't know. And if you're not extremely pressed for time, if you're out and you want to have a great time and you have a few hours to spend, you can stay in that and just ride that wave of uncomfortableness, whether it's the approach or maybe it's 10 minutes in, you don't know where it's going, just hang out, stay in there. You don't have to leave or an hour or two and you can ride those waves. So I'll give a brief example of something where someone could have just said, no, I'm not doing this and quit and or they could have went forward. And it's an example of my life just the other day. So I was having a good time. I was playing pool. I like to play games. I like to play pool. I was having a great time. I was talking to some dudes at a bar or playing pool. And all of a sudden, I was like, let's get some more people in. Let's have a great time. So I went over to ask these girls to play pool with me. And this girl said, no, not interested. Like I didn't even finish my sentence. She goes, not interested. And I didn't fight her. I wasn't like, no, you have to play. I was like, and I wasn't like so timid that it was like earth shattering where I was like scared, but I held some kind of thick skin, and you can develop a thick skin over time. And I was also very relatable to her. And I said, you know what? I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. And she was just like, oh, that's okay. It's no big deal. So what do people on the outside see if they look at that? They're like, looks like they're actually having a good time. Like they don't even know what she said to me. So she walked away, and then that could be like most people would be like, if a guy's getting into this and he's a real timid guy, he just might like, oh, that's it. I'm leaving the bar. Oh, that was horrible. But instead, I was like, that's fine. It's no big deal. And I still was playing pool. So I'm playing pool some more. And the other thing is, if you go to a place, if you can, I say if you can frequent the place, because you're going to get comfortable with the place. You're going to be like, it'll almost feel like a home if there's a place that you can go to that you're used to. Like, for instance, with Sartain, what he does is a lot of the events that he hosts are places that these events are reoccurring events. So they're not like way out in Asia, and then all of a sudden they're in South America. They're similar events that occur, and they're yearly events too. So he becomes very comfortable in those settings, and he knows where everything's at. So with me, like I know the DJ there. I have his contact information, and I was talking to him briefly, and then I went back to play pool. And some other girls in that group, they wanted to play pool then, even though that girl
There you
said
go.
no. She walked away. Then the girls like started talking to me. They actually approached me. So that's part of staying in there, dealing with the uncomfortableness, but also not being rude, not being like ignorant to people that you're talking to. Instead, you're being understanding, you're being relatable, and you're dealing with that nervousness and you're moving forward. And like you said, it's even with the approach. Even with the approach, if you're going to do the approach, just go ahead and do it.
Well, I think what
Take a
most
breath and
guys
do it.
freak out over is they're worried about an outcome like that, where the girl is just harsh with them for no reason. But yeah, it's just taking that extra 5, 10 seconds to realize, okay, she doesn't actually know who I am. She's not really rejecting me. She's rejecting the concept of some strange dude hitting on her at the bar. So it's nothing personal at all. It's so impersonal, actually, that it's like, yeah, hey, hope you have a good night. Didn't mean to offend you. And then obviously, hey, that rolls into better things. On the event side of things, another epiphany that I had personally. So I've done some of the big photo shoots, and this has definitely been fun, right? Like we had one where we had 30 models, 12 photographers, and about $2 million worth of cars. It was fantastic. But also just doing small stuff, right? Like one of my favorites, Christmas time rolls around. One of my favorite dates is I'll do like a little gingerbread house. It's like, hey, $20. She's straight over at your house. It's great. I do like 7 of them a year. But this year I was like, hey, why don't I just turn that into a little event? Why don't I just have like two of my buddies and 5, 6 girls all come over at once? It's like if you guys are wanting to develop a little bit more of the social circle side, set the bar kind of low. It can be small things like, hey, let's, as a group of friends, all go grab dinner. Let's all go grab drinks as a group of friends. Let's all play Mario Kart or Smash Bros. Together. Or let's have
Yeah.
a board game night. Actually, board game nights are one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It could be a small recurring thing where now all of a sudden you can go out, do a little bit of cold approach, not have this outcome of, okay, does she like me romantically or not? Just, I'm here to have a fun time. Hey, I do these board game nights. Do you and your friends want to come? And you never actually have to hit on her at all. So that can be an intermediary step where, like, if the concept of going and like shooting your shot immediately is stressful, hey, I have fun things going on in my life. Do you want to be a part of these fun things? And that will kind of naturally attract the people who are into you, anyways, because it'll be a shared hobby.
Yeah. Not all girls are into stuff like board games, but a
Yeah.
large amount are. There's a large amount of girls that are. They like board games. Not all girls like pool. Some will just watch you playing pool. Some will play pool, Jenga. All kinds of games are fun. And when I read the book The Setup by Dan Bilzerian, that's what he talked about in the book was games. So I incorporate that all the time whenever I'm hanging out with people. And then what I did was I incorporated two things. I incorporated the book The Game where they talk about merging sets. That's what Mystery talked about with Neil Strauss. So you have that end. And then on the other hand, what you have is the games. What you can do is you can bring a lot of people together through it could be through an event like that, and it can even be at a bar. Like you could talk to some people and just say, hey, do you guys want to play a game of this here? And if they're right beside it, it's pretty easy. All they could say is no, and you could say it'll just be like 5 minutes. It's just a five, and then they usually say yeah. So then you're playing with some people. You're playing maybe Jenga, and then you have a group of people there that are playing, and that could be the group that you hang out with the whole night. You could have a lot of fun there, or you could bring more people together. You could merge more sets through games even, and that could be an incredible experience. I've had so many fun times where I've done that, where I'm just out at a bar and there's Jenga and there's girls right by Jenga, or there's a group of people
Dude.
and I'm just like, "Do you guys want to play?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then that's low pressure too. So like if you're playing a board game maybe at your house or wherever you're at, and you're asking questions to get to know them, it's not as high pressure. It's not as nerve-wracking. And it's not like it's a serious interview where it the girl this is to see if I can get in her pants. No, it's just like real calm because you're focused on something else. And then you can just ask some simple questions like, "Oh, have you lived here for a while, or do you go to college here, blah blah blah." And so I used to do like really, I'd ask off the wall questions that stand out. And I even think like many years ago, that was more, it was okay to do that kind of stuff. But ever since 2020 and COVID, people have been generally way more sensitive, so that's why I ask just simple questions a lot of times when I'm talking with people. I don't ask things that are completely off the wall, and they feel generally more comfortable with that. Or if a girl starts getting real tense, I say stuff like, sorry, I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable in any way. And that usually can lower, the defenses a lot in somebody if you can see where they're at and kind of relate to it. So those are great things. Those are, and a
Yeah,
lot
I
of,
agree completely on like not having to ask crazy stuff. I
yeah,
think because a lot of that stuff looks flashy, right? Like it makes for great YouTube content. It makes for great shorts like TikTok and
yeah,
Instagram reels that blow up. And, it seems fun. And so it's easy to think that that's what good game has to look like. But good game is usually just a good conversation. It's usually just
yeah,
two people getting to know each other. And I think if guys can kind of have the mental model where, okay, cool, as soon as I've hit the attraction threshold, now it's just a normal interaction and we spend some time together. That's probably the simplest way to think of game. It's like you really don't need that many inputs. It's just
no,
build a base level of attraction and then be a normal, fun, interesting person, have some insights to share, provide your unique perspectives, and just have a normal conversation. Like the crazy stuff will come up organically. Somebody will bring it up. There will be a point, a tangent, but it's not something you need to force. And I think a lot of the times that act of forcing, of trying to come up with these crazy conversations, making those happen, it feels try hard. It feels
yeah,
like a lot of effort, and it's actually uncalibrated and out of place. And it feels gamey. It feels put on. Versus good games, you just feel like, oh, it just happened. Oh, met him at the bar, and all of a sudden, oh, we're dating.
yeah, definitely. Totally agree with you. So we mentioned the far past, we mentioned the recent past. Let's go to the future now. If you, what are some goals that you have planned for the future? Maybe for your business. It could be for your business. It could be for with networking and dating. It could be whatever you want to talk about. What are some goals that you have in the near future?
Sure, man. Honestly, my main focus right now is definitely scaling my coaching business, just because I've worked in the space long enough. I've been doing fulfillment where now, hey, it's time to, just like I took control of my dating, take control of my career and my path as a man. So that's the primary focus. Girls will always be probably my favorite hobby. I just love beautiful women, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in a phase of my life where it's like very much business focused, and where I see myself in a couple of years is being able to make a genuine impact. I think there's a big divide right now between men and women, at least in popular culture. So I'd like to
True.
start teaching things that bring us together so that we can stop having all these big podcasts where people are screaming at each other. I don't know if those are all to completely go away. I mean, hey, it's entertaining, but it would be nice to have people a little bit more healed, and even just to make a small impact, a couple hundred, couple thousand people who all of a sudden view the world as a more positive place, view men and women as people who are better off together. That is like, oh, dude, it gets me excited.
I had a podcast recently with Jared Lawrence, and whenever we were speaking, he talked about how a lot of women, it's hard for them to grasp the reality of a man who improves himself through something like going to networking courses or learning about dating, anything where he can improve himself. It's hard for a woman to fully grasp that a man actually can improve himself that way. And he was saying how cool it would be if, because a lot of women, they are really into like if this guy goes to therapy, he's this great guy. But to have the mindset shift as like, see, this guy, he learned and improved with his social skills with this person, with this person, with this person. This guy is a really phenomenal person. It would be really cool to have that kind of shift because it would increase the overall positivity in the space and how people in general perceive it. So
That would be very cool.
yeah, that
Because yeah,
I
I
totally
think
agree.
traditional therapy isn't necessarily aimed at making men better men. It's well, there's a lot of flaws with it, and I think as men, again, if we just improved kind of the health, wealth, relationship pillars, if we had those three things that we were working on all the time, then that would eliminate a lot of the need for therapy. Because a lot of the times, hey, feeling bad is for a reason. So if we can just improve, then all of a sudden those get better. And yeah, seeking help, improving in those areas, having a personal trainer, having a coach for social skills, having business coaches, like those things are all tangible steps that a man can take to get better. And there's certainly a stigma towards like any sort of dude who wants to learn dating, who wants to self improve, especially in the social skill area. So if we could remove that stigma and have it be on par with like, oh my God, he goes to therapy, dude, that would be killer.
Definitely. I love business too. I love talking about business. I love doing business. It's been something that I have over the past year or two really dove into and studying all kinds of people, having watching videos, reading books. I've been looking at Grant Cardone, who's worth at least $600 million dollars. I watched one of his shows called Whatever It Takes recently, and it was really interesting because he hired some like I could tell right away. I'm like, this guy's gonna kick ass. And he hires this one guy who was amazing on the very first episode. I just could tell. Like after 20 seconds, I just get the feel for it because of all the people I talk with. But he interviewed one of the guys from Fresh and Fit, and those guys are doing really well right now. And the guy that he had on, it was Fresh, and he went in and he was so nervous, man. He goes, "Do you want to sell yourself or do you want to sell the water?" And usually, if you sell a water in that choice, you actually look kind of bad. Like you look kind of shitty because it's like, why would you choose a water over yourself? And he chose the water, and he's stuttering. He can't even talk right, and he's mumbling. And now this guy is driving around in some of the coolest looking cars. He has one of the best podcasts that with some incredible amount of views, and his reach has been outstanding the past 2 or 3 years. And he actually rejected him right away. So it's interesting because you can't always tell whenever you're trying to find the person for your team who is going to be right away. It can be tricky. Sometimes you think you got it right and you don't. But overall, from my experience talking with people and even building a team, it can be incredibly difficult in today's world. And Grant Cardone said he hires usually one out of 800 people. That's one or two. And then I was rewatching some old Apprentice episodes with Trump. The very first season, he said he went over 200,000 applications, and he went down to what was it, like 12 people out of the 200,000 to become the apprentice. And that goes to show like if you're building a team and you're scaling, we have to be very tricky about what people we choose because often, unfortunately, people either have huge egos and they're not willing to put their ego down to learn something, or they're lazy, which is mostly the case, or they're not intelligent, but it's usually the two out of the three. And then there's only so many ways that you can scale a business. You can scale it through ads, you can scale it through content, which also relates to ads. You could do it through cold outreach. You can do it through referrals. You could do it through you could do it through partnerships and affiliates. So one of the things I like the most is content right now. I make content every day and I post every day. This is live right now, so it's posting right now as a live stream. I think the algorithm will continue to do lives. It will continue to push it more and more. You look at someone like I Show Speed, that guy, I don't know if you've watched any of his live streams. He is super famous and he's went to like Peru and he is huge waves of people chasing him, thousands and thousands on his live streams. So it's only going to become more and more normal to do live streams as we do this, as we go forward. So I guess I'll ask you one more question for now, and then we
Sure.
can wrap it up and I can ask people how to get a hold of you. So with your business, what are the main ways, one of the main pillars that you're interested in or that you've been doing to attract clients?
Well, again, I view both dating and business as a funnel, right? So you have top of funnel, which is awareness, and it all starts with again like good marketing is really having a good product, which again,
Yeah,
dating perspective, hey, you're a good potential boyfriend, you're a good lay, whatever. From a business perspective, hey, you provide more value than you ask for, but it starts there, and then it's just a matter of okay, how many eyeballs can I get aware of me, and then how many of those eyeballs find me to be that attractive product, and then just stepping them down the funnel. So for me, yeah, it's very much content is top of funnel. I'm running some ads right now. I actually used to sell professional advertising services to local businesses a long time ago. Market's certainly changed a lot since then, but focus honestly is yeah, mostly on content because I think that's something that's evergreen, building that personal brand, having that reach across all of these various platforms. That's something that it is kind of hard to take away, right? Like we've seen major people get canceled, but at the same
yeah,
time, they now are household names. Like, I don't know, I don't want to screw up your live stream dropping the wrong names here, but like some of these guys who we all think of as like, oh, the classic example of like, oh, they got canceled. Oh, they're never gonna, well, they're worth millions. They're making millions in monthly recurring revenue right now. And
exactly.
whatever they want, they can sell. And they used that reach while they had it to build email lists, to build communities where, yes, they now own on a native platform, but that all came from just getting eyeballs on social media. So I think that really is the future. Yeah, is hey, it's live streams, it's posting across different platforms, and of course, advertising to supplement what you're doing there. But it's going to come down to okay, who can communicate the most value, the most efficiently across platforms for free, and then that free material gets people into your funnel. I think that's really it.
Definitely, definitely. And how would somebody get a hold of you? What's the best way if they want to reach out to you and they want to learn more about what you do?
Yeah. So I very much view dating as a funnel, right? So it starts with making you attractive. It then proceeds to, okay, the four main ways to meet women. That's going to be cold approach, social circle, social media, and dating apps. For me, social media right now revolves around Instagram. That is the best way to get a hold of me is authentic underscore charm underscore academy. Shoot me a DM there. I have a free guide to that funnel as well as a free guide to cold approach. So drop your email in there, get you set up. And then if you are interested in one-on-one coaching, cool. Go ahead and hit that link, apply, and we'll see if you're a good fit.
Excellent. I want your free guide, and you're going to read my free guide as well. And we're going to
Deal.
continue to kick ass. And my website again is joresults.com. So go there and get my free ebook as well. Just put your email in, get his stuff, get mine. It's good to have multiple mentors because that will only show you more angles of the way reality really is. We're going to read each other's books, and we're going to do probably in a week or two or whenever we're both free again, we'll probably do another one. Very intelligent person. We'll speak soon. Great having you on.
Yeah, appreciate you reaching out, man. We'll see you.